Welcome to Unhinged Magi!
Oh, we got a good topic for you guys today.
We do. It's gonna be fantastic. We're talking about French toast. Yes, indeed, French toast with eggs, butter, sour cream, onions, garlic, potatoes, some random roadkill. It's fantastic. We call it...
That sounds terrible.
It's wonderful. You haven't tried it? Sometimes you have it with dead squirrel, sometimes armadillo. It doesn't really matter. I've had it with run over deer meat. So good.
So good.
French toast, yummy, yummy.
I actually like my French toast with like nothing on it but butter. Maybe a little
toast.
Salt. No. Like it's French toast, but like with butter and a little salt. But like my wife and daughter, they love syrup on theirs. Absolutely.
They like to drown it?
Oh yeah. They drown theirs like crazy.
Do they drown their pancakes too?
They do.
Yeah, that's because they're eating syrup. They're not actually eating French toast or pancakes. They're just drinking syrup and pretending to eat.
That's, valid.
I'm just saying. That's what I say about good steaks. If you have a good steak, you're not going to put A1 sauce on it because it's going to taste really good. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying.
So, yes, the topic.
Oh, right. I'm still thinking about food. Okay.
The problem with only caring about winning.
You know, I like to win.
Me too.
I love winning.
Mm-hmm. Who doesn't?
And I really don't care if I lose or not. However,
that's hard to get to.
Have you ever been with someone who just, they have to win? And when you can feel the energy of them losing, it's just like you've ruined their day, you've spoiled their Christmas, you've actually burnt their French toast.
Yep. It's that shift that happens in the middle of the game at the very moment that the other person realizes they're really not going to win. And then like the whole energy of the match just shifts over, right? And they start getting kind of grumpy and quiet, disconnected and stuff like that.
And I'm not talking about you figured out your mana screwed. Being mana screwed, that's just disappointing in general.
Yeah, I hate that too. That. Even when the other guy gets mana screwed, I hate that.
I'm talking about you're playing a good game, but you're gonna lose.
Yep. So this is a very common problem that Magic players have always, in my experience, they've always really struggled with. Because, you know, for a long time when you and I were first starting, the Magic players were a lot of the kind of the social outcasts, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, sure, I can admit it. You know, that was the group that I probably identified with more readily. But the thing was, so many of these people like didn't have a lot of self-confidence, and they would get good at Magic, and that's something they felt confident in.
They took pride in it.
Yeah, so a lot of it was tied up in the winning was like it's like validating their own self-worth. It was much more than just a game to these people.
Exactly. I've had people called judges just because I touched the top of my library. And that was just like...
I've had that.
And the judge goes, and? I mean, they just call them for dumb reasons.
Oh, yeah. And it's embarrassing and it's frustrating. And all of the joy of the match just goes out entirely.
And that's why I don't play in any tournaments now, because it's just annoying.
It seems way more often than not. In fact, I think it's gotten worse. Where like the problem I identified when I was like in college and first starting out with Magic the Gathering, if I go like just like you're saying to new tournaments and I play against other players, like they're all about the win. Like they're going to net deck, and in fact they're going to probably ridicule you if you don't actually play a great deck.
Exactly.
Or have something that you just brewed from home.
You shouldn't have had that in your deck. That was just dumb. Why would you put that card in your deck?
You're just that weird old guy. My cat's getting ready to jump up here.
Oh yeah, totally. He was trying to jump into my lap a few seconds ago. That's why I looked down and started smiling.
Yeah. So
he's being a cuddle kitty.
So I really don't like that attitude, honestly. I think it really ruins the game. It ruins the enjoyment of Magic. I mean, honestly, most people that are doing this game and that are watching this video, you do this because you like it. This is your hobby.
You enjoy it. It's fun.
Yeah, so why take the thing that you extract joy from, that you love so much, and put it into this space where, like, if I don't win, I'm pissed.
Exactly. I mean, you have to enjoy. I get it. I get it. I play poker tournaments all the time, and that's one of my things. And I actually go to the World Series, and I play. I bust out, or I'll be on the bubble. But I don't let that ruin my day that I bubble out. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have played that hand. That was just...
Yeah.
That was dumb on my part, but then I buy myself in the deck of the next tournament. And I might bubble that one too, but it's fine.
most of the time when I join tournaments, and again, it's not standard tournaments as often anymore. It's not because I hate the cards so much. It's more about the players and the frustration I get. Anyways, when I'm joining like a vintage, legacy, old school tournament, because that's what I join most of the time, I'm actually usually playing a deck that I'm excited to play. Something that it doesn't matter if I win or if I lose. I'm so excited to play this deck and do its combos and draw its cards, whatever, that's what I'm going to play because that's a no-fail. And I can confidently tell you, like the last several times I've been to GP Vegas and others, I didn't show up with a deck that was like the best net deck that was probably going to win. I showed up with something that I made that I wanted to play.
Yeah, and that's what you should take pride in, because making your deck, and it's called netdecking when you take it off the internet?
Yep.
Okay, I didn't know that, because I've never taken a deck off the internet.
Welcome to 2020.
Yeah, it's
been called that forever.
Yeah, but it's not a thing that I would even think to do.
Yeah, net decking.
You know.
So yeah, that's. I don't like that strategy because it's too much focused on the win, and it kills creativity. It kills like any kind of like deck design and spiciness and stuff. The games just get repetitive. Like I'm sure a lot of you arena players have noticed this. Like, do you keep running into the same decks on arena?
Yes, I do. My decks are totally geared to destroy the decks that I keep seeing. Because if I keep seeing them, I'm going to destroy them. In which case, I get to Mythic a lot faster.
Yep. I had a really fun moment years ago where like I hadn't played Standard for a long time. Then I went to a Rainy Day Games tournament in Hillsboro, Oregon. And like I just showed up with this deck that I had just brewed myself. And it definitely wasn't the best deck in the room. But it was like so different, and it took people a while to see the strategy I was going for, that I actually placed into the top 8 at this little mini Rainy Day Games tournament, just simply because like nobody knew what I was doing, because like all of them were all net deckers, and I just showed up with my own homebrew, and everybody was so surprised, like seeing me come in with something that they hadn't seen before. I was like, what is that?
Well, the uniqueness is actually probably what destroyed them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which is fantastic, and I think that's the best way to win. You can't really take pride in winning with somebody else's deck. I don't really think so. You can take the win, sure, no problem. But you can't really take the pride of creativity. You know.
There's another neat story. I've actually told this in one of the other videos on my channel. But there was a time in Hillsboro, Oregon, where the vintage format was just dying down. But again, it was Rainy Day Games. They actually started hosting a vintage tournament. And I got all excited, and I brought my Tier 1 Type 1 deck, and I think it was a Gifts Control Slaver style, but with Gifts Ungiven and stuff. It was a good deck, right? And so I showed up to this tournament, and I just mopped the floor with everybody. I mean, people like just had cards from whenever. It wasn't like finely tuned vintage decks. And the owners of the shop, they were not okay with doing proxies, so like you had to have real cards. And so everybody was so disappointed, with how like they did. What I started doing is I started showing up with the same deck because I really wanted to play that deck. I loved that deck.
Well, playing the deck is actually going to be learning the deck, and you probably wanted to do that.
So I played the deck, but what I would do is I would go all the way to the point where I'm about to win each game, and then I would concede. And then we'd go to game 2, and like I'd sometimes just go ahead and win game 2, then go to game 3, and I'd take them down to like right about the end, and then I would just concede again. And so I did that the whole tournament, and I would get last place. But the guys at the tournament, they actually like thought it was cool because they actually liked seeing the deck. They liked playing against it because like those were big cards and stuff even back then.
They were probably taking pride in beating you if they could.
Yeah. But so they got a chance to see it, play it, interact with it, but they didn't lose to it. And then even the other thing that was better is that every once in a while, like some random other person would show up with like big cards, and like against that guy, I would not concede. I would actually beat the snot out of that guy. But it was funny because like I would get last place because I would concede all my other games, and his only match loss was against the guy that got last place. So it took him right out of first place. So all the other guys at the tournament, they just loved it. Because then not only was like this big player like not like just winning the tournament every single time, but I was preventing other people from coming in and doing it. And so that created such a fun environment. And instead of shrinking, that vintage scene at Rainy Day Games, it started growing and it started expanding and more people started showing up. And one guy even got so into it, he started building a deck just to beat mine. He didn't care about anyone else. He would come to play me. And his deck was filled with like Red Elemental Blast and Energy Flux and like all these things that were just meant to just
Well,
take
that's the
me
deck
out.
I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, so it was fun. And like that specific guy, he had this anti-slaver deck. And I still beat him and he was so impressed. He gave me a foil Gifts Ungiven. And that's still the one I actually use in my vintage deck today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but it created a fun environment. And it's entirely because it wasn't based on winning. It was based on fun, actually.
Yeah, I enjoy playing for fun. I mean, I used to play tournaments back in 1993, and that was before they had sideboards and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And sideboards really just probably came about because every time you had a tournament, you'd always have these grown men, because I played in college, and you know, you're 20 years old, it's just a bunch of grown men, and they would be crying because I didn't prepare for white. I don't know why he was playing with white. Or, you know, some other nonsense that they were doing.
They were just salty.
They were just like complaining that if they had just brought this one card that they could have actually taken the entire tournament, and they would just whine and complain. And so they created the diaper, which is the sideboard. And so now you can bring these cards in, because I always thought that, you know, playing with a sideboard is kind of playing like a diaper, because you're not really playing a deck of 60 cards. You're playing a deck that you can modify. In fact, I was so adamant about that. I was just people would ask you what colors you're playing with. Then they would start swapping in and out cards from their sideboard. So that would be turn one. What colors you playing with? Huh?
They did that on turn one?
Yeah, they would ask what colors you're playing with.
That was legal?
It was legal back then because we didn't really set up those rules.
Oh, okay. So this is early then.
Yes, this is early.
Okay.
And so when the sideboard came out, they would ask for this, and then they would say, "Hey, what colors you playing with?" And then they would actually do that, and then like flip it out. So what I started doing was taking my sideboard and just sticking a random color in there, and then I would say, "Oh, I'm just playing blue," it's fine. Or I'm just playing red.
Show them the blue card and put it in.
Exactly.
And then that's like your only blue card in the whole deck.
And then eventually I started just taking the sideboard and put a different color that I could completely swap out and throw it in. So remove one color, put the other color in, and then you're hosed on game two as well. Because you just fixed it out.
That's funny. But yeah, they were just too focused on the win, for sure. And you know, I get it when there's prizes on the table, or it's like something that like, it'll mean a lot for your name. Like if you win a big tournament, everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, that guy won a tournament. I get that. I'm not missing that. But I'm saying like all the games, you know, even like the smaller Friday Night Magic kind of tournament games. Like that's just, dude, come on. At some point, just enjoy yourself, right?
Yeah, you got to have fun. I have to teach my kids how to lose. That's one of those things. You got to teach them how to lose. Because if they can't lose gracefully, if they can't lose and actually have had fun, there is no point to playing the game. Yeah. If you're going to play the game and it's going to wreck you for like weeks at a time because you blew it, maybe you made a mistake. Maybe you shouldn't have disenchanted something in particular, but you should have disenchanted something else, right? And that made you lose. The choice that you made at that moment made you lose, and now your life is over.
You know, I've always thought that sports as a kid, when I was younger, I always felt like the reason you do sports is like, you know, of course to get, you know, shape, get out of the house, get, you know, exercise, all that. But I thought a big piece of it was learning how to be a gracious winner and how to actually be encouraged through loss.
I always thought it was to make me look bad because I'm pretty much terrible at every single sport ever.
But did you learn to lose gracefully?
No.
Forget what I just said. Just forget
I learned that I can't run, I can't throw balls, I'm good at stealing the basketball, but when I come to do a dang layup, I can't hit the broadside of a barn, even if I'm there by myself. That's what I pretty much learned. And when it comes to hitting a ball, yeah, that's not going to happen.
Well, for most people, like sports used to be about learning to like win and lose graciously, and when you lose, it wasn't supposed to be like a soul-crushing thing. It was supposed to be like, okay, I really wanted to win. I didn't get it. I'm really going to try harder next time. I'm going to practice. I'm going to put myself into it.
That's what chess is for. I think every kid should be required to learn chess.
Chess!
But yes, chess is for that. I got beat so many times with chess because you can't win that game right off the bat. It's just not going to happen. The horse moves what now? 2 up and an over? Why?
So I want to know, do any of you guys agree with this kind of viewpoint? Do you think way too many people in Magic are way too focused on winning? And every once in a while or at big events, totally cool, get it, go for it, yeah. But like all the time, it just seems like way too much. And I think it's a problem, and I think, I don't know, I just don't honestly want to like play Magic with people that all they care about is winning, and they get really grumpy when they lose.
Yeah, the last tournament I went to was just a standard tournament. I had already lost the first one, and the guy sat down, immediately said, "Yeah, I'm gonna lose." I mean,
he told you you're gonna lose.
No, he told me that he's gonna lose.
Oh, okay.
I'm just like, oh, okay, that's fine.
Okay, enjoy it.
There's a thing where if you lose one game, you can't just lose, right? I mean, it's just like you change your state off of one loss. He can beat me. He didn't. But that wasn't the point.
He just shattered his confidence.
He shattered his confidence. You know, and he
was a snowflake. Don't be a snowflake.
Don't be a snowflake. Don't know.
Please don't be a snowflake. We need some tough people these days. No more snowflakes.
True.
So anyways, thanks a lot, guys. That's the topic. I hope you had a good time. Hope you enjoyed the craziness. So yeah, we had a great time. I love doing this channel. Come back. This channel is so much fun. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
3, 2, 1.
Hello.
Welcome to. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
In 3, 2, 1.